All right, thanks for joining us again on one of our Friday afternoon webinars. Today we're going to go through some new features in the iGyro portal that allows it to work as a CRM system to help keep track of your prospects and leads in your business. So you can see here on screen, I'm logged into the iGyro portal and I've clicked onto the Jobs tab here. So when you first log in, you'll be just a blank screen there, but we've got a Jobs option on the left-hand side. And just recently, we've revamped this with a few more options here just to make it easier for you to navigate through your prospects and other jobs in your system. So I'll run through what we have at the top here. And at the top left, with this first button here we've got is the All Jobs. So this is all jobs, so any job that falls under any one of these other categories, plus anything that's been marked as not proceeding as well. All right, so you can just scroll through your entire list of jobs there. All right, the next button is the active jobs. Hopefully it's fairly self-explanatory, but essentially it's any job that's in your system at the moment, hasn't been marked as not proceeding, and hasn't been completed yet. And we'll move on to the next one, completed jobs. Again, hopefully pretty self-explanatory. These are jobs that have progressed through the system and you've completed them on site. So that's finished jobs. And the next one where it starts to get a little bit more interesting is our prospects. So these are people that have come into your business. You haven't marked them as not proceeding yet, so they still could proceed and form a contract with you. And they haven't been completed yet, obviously. And they'll sit in this prospect tab here until they move on to one of these future tabs. So once you mark off a task that says that this job has progressed to a prelim service fee being paid, they'll be in this section here. And likewise, once they sign a contract, they'll move from this tab and be placed into here. Okay, once site establishment's been approved, they'll end up on the on-site tab. Alrighty, so I'll work through some of these, or some of the other visual elements here as well. So I'll click onto the Prospects tab here. And what we're looking at here in this left-hand side is the date this particular client was added to your system. The next one is the last time they were contacted. So hopefully as you're using the iGyro system, you're using tasks regularly and especially contacted clients. So it allows you to keep a record of what you've communicated with them, and also lets you know how often you've spoken with them. So this is the last time you've contacted them. And this next one's quite an important one for if you're trying to keep tabs on how often and when you're going to contact a client. And it's the due date for the next contact. So you can see here I've got an overdue one. So these markers on the left-hand side are green if there's no due contact, red if it's overdue, and if there's a yellow one, that'll be a due in the future. So what we can do here is we could click on prospects and sort by contact due. And that will tell us any job here that is due. We can click on that. If we're completing it now, we can type in that we've spoken to them. And you just need to mark off the date that this has been completed. So as with most places in Gyro, when you're entering a date, you can use the shortcut just T for today, and that will put today's date in. So I'll save that. All right, and that's been removed from there. Now, if you want to add a contacted client now, there's a few options here to do it directly from this screen. So you'll notice on the right-hand side, there's a little hamburger icon there. If we click on that, it gives us a few options. So one, we can contact a client. So we can mark this off if we've already spoken to the client. We can write the note about that here and hit save. If it's something you want to do in the future, you can just delete out that date and put a due date in. So we might say we want to contact them next Thursday, and we can pick a time here as well. So next Thursday, 11:45 in the morning. So you can type directly into these as well. So you'll see here we've got a little yellow marker indicating that this is due. Now the other options we have here as well, I've got a note, so very similar to a contacted client, you can use it in exactly the same way. I'll just skip past this one for a second. We've got the not proceeding option here. So that should be pretty self-explanatory. If you click on that, it'll mark the job as not proceeding and it will move into the appropriate tab and take it away from this prospects tab. So it pops up like this and gives you an opportunity to write the reason for not proceeding. Now, if you have a client that they're a hot prospect, there's a good chance that they're moving forward with you. The other option we've got here is a stage 2 interested client task. So we can click on that. Again, there's an opportunity to put some notes in here. But if we just save that, okay, it's moved from the prospects tab and moved up into this interested client section here. All right, again, just to give you a good indication of what's happening in your business. All right, that covers all of those options there. Now, one thing we've skipped past here is this My Jobs button here. So by default, that's switched off. So if I switch that on now, you'll notice that all of these figures will drop down. And what this does is only shows you jobs where you're a business contact on that particular job. So in this whole database, it's a demo database here. My user account is assigned to 19 jobs in total. And we've got our various stages here. So you could be the sales consultant, the estimator, the project manager. It doesn't really matter which. It just is based on who you're logged in as. So if you're logged in with your user account, you flick this switch on, you must be a business contact on the jobs to show here. All right, so one way you could manage this as well is if you, say a sales consultant, you could sit here in the active jobs, switch the My Jobs on, sit here in the active jobs, and everything in here is active and should be something you should be working on. And again, we can sort by these dates just by clicking the headers here. So you can see when they're entered in the system, when you last contacted them, and this is probably one of the most important ones is sorting by due date here. I'll just add another one in there with another due date. This one I'll add a month ago. All right, so we can see we've got 2 of these here. And we can sort that just so we know what's the most outstanding and work through those. All right, so these little quick buttons that we have here is very similar to just say clicking in to the client and clicking on tasks. So we've gone through this before where there's a note button. So it's just a quick way of getting to that, and also communication. That's a new contacted client. Alrighty, so something that we're working on at the moment, so it's not released yet, but ties in with this topic of managing your clients here, is our client questionnaire. So many of you will be familiar with something like this. So at the moment, we're sending it out as a Word document or a PDF and asking someone to complete it in the best way that they can. So they may have to print it off or use some PDF software, and many people struggle to do that. So what we're working on is a way to do this online. And once they complete it online, they'll be brought into Gyro as a prospect. So I'll just step back a little bit. So the idea behind this will be that one way of filling out this client questionnaire would be going to the website. A client comes in here and clicks on Contact Us. They'll fill out their details. Once they do that, they'll be prompted to fill out the remainder of that client questionnaire. Okay, if they fill that form out, then that contact will be brought directly into iGyro for you with a due date to contact. So the form will look something like this. So this is a first draft, so we'll work through that. But essentially, if they've already put their contact details on the website, a lot of this information will be filled out for them. We've got a few compulsory items here just to get their details, but everything else we're planning on just making that so you can skip over it. But hopefully they'll fill out their site address and some other details for you. So a good way of weeding out your prospects. So if they're going through the effort to go through and fill out this form, hopefully they're a worthwhile contact. All right, so I'll submit that and it'll turn up in iGyro and you can get a notification to let you know they've turned up in there. All right, so the good thing about this, one, that it's online, should be easy to do, but also it will work well on a mobile as well. So if they receive it on a mobile, it'll look a little bit like this, and they can just work through that just like a desktop computer. I've just got a question here from Craig. How do you move names into prospective? Okay, so prospect. So Craig, the prospect is sort of the default position they go in. So as soon as you add a new job, you can do that from here or from iGyro desktop. As soon as you add them in, they'll end up in that prospect section. And it's a matter for you then to progress them through the other stages. So prospect is the first place they enter iGyro. All right, so let me know if there's any other questions and I'll cover those as best I can. So you can either put your hand up there or type a question in the question box. Now, just while we're talking about this and the different sections of clients here, we've got a new option in the admin panel. If we go to group settings and global settings, we've got this section here for edit projected revenue. And this allows us to customize our projected revenue report that we've gone through in previous webinars. So I've slipped this extra one in here for stage 2 interested client and given it a probability of 20%. So if you recall the report, I'll pull that up again. So we'll just generate this sales projected revenue report. Alrighty, so again, we can see our stages. So we've got 11% for first contacts, 20% for interested clients, 30% for prelims, and so on. All right, so again, I'll just show you how this might work here. So I'll close that report down. And we'll go back to jobs, and I'll add one more client to the interested client section. Let's pick one with a value on it. All right. And I'll generate that report again. All right, now we've got 2 jobs there in that interested client section. Now we want to change that percentage. We decided in our business that once they become an interested client, they might be at 25%. We'll just go back into the portal. Global settings, projected revenue settings. We'll change that to 25%. Generate the report again. All right, now I've got that report sitting at 25%. I've got a question from Diana there. She's trying that on screen, but looks like she solved her own problem. So we don't have one there. That's good. All right, so these tools here, these are important for business owners to know how all your prospects are sitting in your business and what sort of value you've got coming through your pipeline. So we're hoping that the new features in the iGyro CRM here will allow sales consultants in the business and other people in the business to better keep track of all the tasks, which allow those reports to be a lot more accurate for the business owners. All right, if there's any further questions, let me know. Otherwise, we're about finished for the day. Okay, so we need a reminder how to access those reports. Okay, so there are some reports in here, Diana. There's a task digest report, but the reports that you're looking at the moment are still living in the iGyro desktop version. So we open that and we click on the reports option from the home screen. And here's all our reports here. So the report I just ran was the 09 sales projected revenue report. All right, let's covered that one. All right, any last questions from anyone? Perfect. All right, well, thanks for joining. Hopefully you'll get some use out of the new CRM features